everyone. Thank you guys all for coming. Welcome to the DMC Brewery. Welcome to the Devil May Chuckle Part 2. Yeah! The devil laughs again. The sequel. This is great. Okay, well, we got a couple of great comics. This is also an open mic night, so please, if you feel ever so inclined, go up to the sheet and sign up. Put your name down in a couple of minutes if you want to do, and please sign up. That would be great. That'd be great. I'm Brennan, your host. I'm going to try my best to stay as sober as I can till the end. Just kidding. No, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. But without further ado, I'm about to introduce my other co-host. This is Miles Taylor. He's going to do a bit of comedy for us. Ready, buddy?
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Shit. Like Brennan said, I'd like to thank you all for coming, and I'd like to thank DMC for having us back. I guess the first one went well enough. I'd also like to take a minute to thank myself, the disabled guy, for putting myself, the disabled guy, first in the lineup this time. Let's give me a hand for equality. I'd also, if I can share something with you guys for a minute, I've recently stopped drinking. I've just recently stopped drinking, and a lot going on around that. Really huge decision I made. I thought about it for a long time, because drinking socially is kind of an expected norm when you're out at an event, but it's been really tough not drinking anymore, and I thought it was really weird to share something like that in a brewery, not drinking, and I've stopped drinking by myself.
Good choice.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thank you. So, when I was here, for those of you who weren't at the last show, I talked about what it's like navigating the sidewalks downtown in the winter, and how it can often feel like I'm negotiating with Marlon Brando in the classic film The Plowfather. And now that the snow's gone, I sometimes feel like I'm gonna be, instead of snow, I'm gonna get stuck in a hole and end up in Narnia. Except instead of a lion, a witch, and a wardrobe, it's just stairs, narrow doorways, and a poor support structure. Instead of, the second time around and third time around, instead of a voyage on the Dawn Treader and a ride on Aslan the Lion, I'm just stuck in line because some upright decided he needed the accessible bathroom stall for the legroom. Sorry if I came off a little bitter there. Those lines can get long. So the other day I was playing video games with friends, and we were discussing online culture and how, when you're joking around with friends, you can, you'll see a video game character that you're attracted to, and you're like, oh, hello, mommy. Or hello, daddy, like people did with Benedict Cumberbatch when he played Sherlock. The discourse was like, "Ooh, step on me, Detective Daddy," and it got me thinking, what's the non-binary version of mommy or daddy, or the gender fluid version of mommy or daddy? And well, it has to be Your Majesty. Now, you're probably thinking, ew, Prince Charles, and fair, but hear me out, just hear me out. Like, it's a fantastic branding opportunity for the royal family to reach new communities and get whatever their agenda is out there. And putting that aside, it's about time the British Empire stepped on us with consent. So, like, why not? Your Majesty. So, a few years ago, I'm in a grocery store, shopping, and obviously, what else are you gonna do there? Step on people, Your Majesty? It's weird to do it in a grocery store, but I'm not gonna judge you if that's what you do at a grocery store. So I'm buying groceries, and I'm in the queue for checking out, and I finished paying, and the clerk says to me, after I had asked her to double bag the groceries, because I knew I was transporting them home, and that's always a risky play, because my legs don't work, and neither do my hands, so I gotta figure that out. And she goes, do you want me to hang the bags on the back of your chair so they're easier to carry? And I'm like, yes, please, of course. And so she steps out from behind the till. I'm in the express checkout lane, mostly because I am my own shopping cart. So whether I have 10 items or not, it doesn't matter because I'm my own shopping cart. That's not true. I don't exploit the express checkout line. But I'm in the line, and I hear this voice coming from behind me over my shoulder. And I hear, they're only doing that because you're special. And I'm like focused on getting out of there, right? I don't quite hear it. So I hear it again. They're only doing it because you're special. And I look up and I see an older gentleman, probably about as ancient as a dinosaur, give or take a couple of days. He might have been alive to see the last one die. And I go, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat that? Genuinely, because I genuinely didn't hear him. So he says it again with a huge smile on his face, as though the smile makes him less of an asshole. And I look at him and I go, gee, thanks, Mr. Geppetto. I've always wanted to be a real boy. And fast forward to, a few weeks, maybe a few months later, I can't remember. Time's not real. I'm finishing a performance of a show that I was cast in called Kill Me Now. I played a character by the name of Joey who was also disabled. Surprise. Plot twist. And the show dealt with a bunch of difficult subject matter around coming of age for a guy in a chair, and so we did talkbacks for the show every night. And I just want to quickly make a side note. Some of you in this room saw it, and some of you, that means some of you had the luxury of seeing my nuts just in your face right at the beginning of the show, and you paid for it. And I am not sorry I didn't warn you that you paid to see my nuts. Fair. You got the whole show. And at least one of you, and I don't know why the hell, at least one of you in here who paid to see it, paid twice. Like, we'll talk about it later, but you didn't have to pay. I could have just, but so, on one particular occasion, after the show, we were, some of the cast was greeting audience members that they knew, and et cetera, and I had a woman come up to me, and an older woman, I'd put her, I'd say 60s, maybe 70s, old enough to have grown up back when disabled people like me were still in cages. So the whole experience might have been like going to the zoo for her. I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions. But she said to me, and I'm not like the rest of it. I'll leave all of you to figure out what I've made up here. But this part I'm absolutely not making up. She said to me, can I tell you something? And I go, of course. I'm expecting, a heartwarming compliment or,
Nice dick.
Yeah, right? Exactly. I just wanted that once from somebody in the crowd. I just wanted someone to shout nice dick, and nobody did it. And I left every show that it didn't happen crying. And so I say to this lady, says, can I share something with you? And I'm like, of course, absolutely you can. So she leans in and says to me, you were so good, I thought you were gonna get up and take a bow with the rest of the cast. And I said two things. I said three things. Let's be fair. One, I said thank you, because I knew what the intent was. Two, I said, shit, you could tell I was disabled? Fuck. And then I said, also, I just met your husband, Geppetto, at the grocery store a week ago. Does this actually make me a real boy now? Does this finish the formula, the magic formula? Does this do the job? And she just looked at me and walked away. And I'm like, okay, fair. And then after that show, I woke up the next day, and I really want to get the crowd's opinion on this, because I've had something on my mind for a while now that I'm curious about. And after that incident, that incident kind of sparked this thought in my brain, and I'm gonna leave you tonight with this thought and this question. Does anybody else ever wake up and wonder, why am I here? Anybody? And to be clear, I don't mean you wondering why you're here. I mean you wondering why the fuck I'm here. I just want someone else that isn't me to think about me for 5 minutes. And on that note, that's my time. Thank you, folks. You've been wonderful.
Coming up next, we have a really great comic. He goes by one name, much like the artist Prince. His name is Lewis. He's a great guy. I know very little about him, but I know he's a good friend to Miles. And that's all I've really got. Every other bit of information about him is compromised, and I can't share. Here's Lewis.
Thank you, Brennan. You sound like a kid who didn't do a book report, and you were told to stand up and present, and he's like, hey, it's a great guy. I noticed the adventures of Huckleberry Finn. The guy probably went on some adventures, so thank you. It's great. I feel very warm. All right. Well, last time I started off kind of trying to reflect on, this philosophy that stand-up should be a lot like an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. If you're about to tell a bad joke, people should know your name, how long you've been doing this, where you're from. And I've changed that a little bit. I think repeated stand-up should start like a Catholic confessional. So if you'll indulge me, I'm gonna start us off right. Father, forgive me. I've told some jokes again. It's been 4 weeks since my last stand-up. Father, last time we did stand-up, we had a comic named Christina who was a health teacher telling jokes about sex ed, and she was asking these questions about grade 7 sex ed, and they were rhetorical, but I shouted out an answer, and I got it wrong. And that is not a lie. And the worst part is, I'm a health teacher too. And I don't know what to do about that. And then, of course, you hear the father, and they go, "It's okay, my son, just tell 4 knock-knock jokes in a Borat impression, be well." And I won't do that tonight, I'll do my penance elsewhere. But I would like to try and get some consensus here, and we're gonna really shift focuses here. We know, and I think we can all agree, just nod if you agree, slut-shaming is wrong, right? Yeah, and we're not going there, okay? I'm with you. Except, I fully endorse, and I think we would be failing ourselves as an ethical democratic society if we do not slut-shame our cats. I think we need to talk about that out in the open, that it is the only ethical form of pet parenting to slut-shame your cat. So I want to talk about my cat. My cat is a bottle baby. If you've never heard the term, it means that this cat was put into foster care and really didn't ever get a chance to interact with the mother, so they were always fed by a human using a bottle, and this creates the worst kind of slut. It's bad. It's terrible. I mean this, no exaggeration. If you were to come over to my house right now, I would open the door, cat would skip me, and prostrate itself, grinding your leg like the stripper pole he wants to use. And if I don't give it the slut shaming, there's no other translation from human to cat for stranger danger. So there's a lot of stranger danger going on, but we don't use that word in our house. We're ethical. I tell him down slut because his name breaks my heart. It's our cat, my wife and I, but I got to name the cat, and I named my beloved cat Samwise, because I love the Lord of the Rings, and I had this cat cradling it on a ride home from the foster home, and I just pictured it just like the fiery slopes of Mount Doom, and he was gonna be my Samwise. He was gonna carry me up the slopes of Mount Doom so we could do our thing. He wasn't gonna leave my side for a second. He was gonna be the most loyal friend in fiction, and he is the dirtiest slut. It's Sean Astin grinding himself up against every orc, tongue kissing the mouth of Sauron, my cat. And if I don't say the right thing, it's a slippery slope from there. Terrible, 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 terrible. And that's all I gotta say about that. Slut shame your pets. So to that end, I'd like to thank Miles for hosting. I'd love to thank DMC for the tasty, tasty drinks, and that's gonna be my time tonight.
Thank you, Lewis. Much appreciated. I gotta push this again as well. Anyone who feels they have a bit of comedy inside of them, please go and sign up at the open mic sheet. We have one extra person after me. So it's gonna be a long, long night. I'm very excited about that. Lewis, thank you for coming up and doing some comedy for us. I appreciate it a lot. I guess I'm now introducing myself. Hi, everyone. Hi. How's it going? I'm Brennan. And I'm going to try and do some new comedy for you. I'm excited. Still can't quit the cheat sheets. This is all brand new stuff. So let's see what happens. So next week I'm turning 35. It's a big number. That's, at least to some it's a big number. For me it feels like a big number. Like 35 feels substantial, right? Substantial enough. But I look at some of the other people in my life that are 35 and I go, we're not the same 35. Like some of these people have bought fucking houses, or like have children. And I'm like, I took it upon myself to buy a box of crafted dinner last night, in which I cut up some sausage and threw it in there and went, I'm 35 too, big man. Some of these people have like RRSPs, I have PTSD. It's completely different, but still, we're both 35. I feel fucking good about that. But no, not a lot of other benchmarks for 35, but people are different. I gotta say though, of all the things I have bought a car though. So I have a car now. I'm a driver at 35. That feels adult enough for me, which is great. I gotta say though, as a brand new driver, with all the knowledge that I've accumulated, I have to say all cyclists should just fucking die. I'm like really tired of it. Like I used to understand, it's like a missing part of technology that like we hone and like that's great. I'm like, good for fuck the cyclists. They're like, I don't want them on the road, I don't want them on the sidewalk, I don't want them anywhere, and I can't explain that, and I don't have a good excuse for it. I just don't want them there. And that's it, it's a conundrum. Honestly, it's terrible. But Have you ever noticed that driving in Winnipeg, though, is absolutely maddening? Like, this is a crazy place to drive around. This is a crazy place to find parking. It's absolutely maddening. But, yeah, there you go. There you go. You're dead to me, Jared. You're already dead to me. But I gotta say, though, I mean, like driving the city, it is very maddening, but at the same time, it's almost like the greatest training you're ever gonna have. Like, really, like, nobody's fucking signaling, okay? Everyone's just, like, gunning it. Nobody's sober. At any moment, you know, people, like, immediately EMS services could just erupt, and you're like, oh, I'm redirecting, you know? And, like, that's all you really need is just a bunch of methed up guys driving around in go-karts with hockey masks being like, hey, big guy, how much is gasoline? I'm like, it's $1.34. Please merge. Please use your signal. Fuck. It's a great time. It's a great time. I have parking anxiety. Does anyone else have this? Anybody? You know? And it starts as soon as you start driving. And I have to admit that since I've become a driver, I've had just about every goddamn thing happen to me as a driver. Like the way I see it is if I can't physically see my car when I park it and leave, I just immediately imagine horrifying things are happening to it. I'm like, it's either getting towed, it's getting a ticket, or I'm in like a snow route, or like Godzilla's bunting that fucking shit across the road and I don't have enough coverage for that shit. And I'm like, it's terrible. I honestly can't handle it. But what it leads me to, with my next thought, to be honest, is that I feel like at the beginning of time, like, 1920s, they're like, someday, in like 100 years from now, we're gonna have like flying cars. And here's the thing, I think that the government, the shadow people, okay, they actually found the technology for flying cars. They did it, and and I think the guy who was on the board meeting that decided this was like, nobody wants fucking flying cars. Let's be fair. Can you imagine like white knuckling it at like Portage in Maine, and like fucking cars are going every other direction, and you're just like, just merge, I'm gonna be okay. No one wants fucking flying cars. Nobody wants it. The government has hid that technology, and they're not giving it to us. That said, though, driving does make it a lot easier to get things, though. Like, it really does. Like, I've realized that, like, if, say, for myself, because I am a cannabis smoker, if I want to maybe get a little bit of weed, I jump in my fucking car, and I can drive to the weed store and be like, sir, I would like some of your cannabis, please. He goes, there you fucking go. And I'm like, this is great. I love the future. What a great time in life. Whereas, say, like, 12 years ago or so, no car, I'd have to go and, like, meet a guy in an alleyway who said he'd be there in 5 minutes, who shows up 45 fucking minutes later to give weed to another guy who's been giving me shifty eyes for like 20 minutes, and then he comes out and goes, oh, I forgot you were coming. Oh, yeah, okay. It's a lot of fucking work for 2 grams, man. That's a lot of work. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fucking fan. That said, that was the old days. Times are better now. They're much better now. I work at one of those places, actually. I push plant. I push plant for the man, for that shadowy government. I do that for them. And I do got to say, there is a comparison where people say if you're a bud tender, it's a lot like being a bartender. People do come in and expect a form of unsolicited advice. Like a lot of times guys will come in and look at me and go like, dude, I need you to give me something that's going to take away my anxiety, okay? Help me sleep and make me able to stand my kids. And I'll look back at them, take a breath, really think about it, and go, have you tried Loosey Goosey Scary Berry? And go, oh, I do got to say, though, I did hear recently that there is a chance they're going to be legalizing magic mushrooms, like actually legalizing magic mushrooms, and I was like, that's a bad fucking idea. Also a good idea, sure, but my immediate thought was the Karens are never going to be the same. Like, they're just really never going to be the same. Like, a lot of times when I'm a bud tender, the Karens, which I'm not trying to say in a derogatory way, that's like just the older lady folk that don't quite know what they're buying, come in, they're like, hey, do you think that this like 10 milligram like edible is gonna you think I'm gonna be too high? And I'm like, no, you're not. You're gonna like eat some chips and like watch a movie and pass the fuck out. You're gonna be totally fine. But like, fucking mushrooms? You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna come in and be like, sir, do you think that this chocolate psilocybin 10 milligram, do you think I'm gonna get too high? Well, I don't know, Karen. Have you quantified your fucking destiny lately? Because sure as shit, the shrooms are gonna, because like, the shrooms heard you say that when you walked in, and they went, buckle the fuck up, Karen. You're about to have a very weird trip, because you need it. I can't wait to sell it to them. It's gonna be great. The Karens are never gonna be the same. They're never gonna be the same. I do gotta say though, like I like being a bud tender. It didn't have the same, excitement that it did like 2 years ago, but I still really enjoy it. I enjoy selling people weed for now. But I gotta say, I felt like a hero in certain dark times. We all remember the COVID times, dark times in these days, right? We try not to think about it. I understand that, but there is another unsung hero out there in the rough that you probably all have not really thought of in a long time, okay? And that man, or woman, whatever, or in between, who knows, is the pizza delivery man, okay? One time, this Domino's worker, he came into my shop, and he was buying some pre-rolls, I think, and I stopped him mid-look, and I was like, you know what that fucking name tag means, buddy? And he looked at me very confused and not sure, and I said, that name tag means you're a fucking hero, bro. And he's still confused. I said, you and I, we're working in tandem, okay? Your local Domino's guy and your local weed man were the unsung heroes of the apocalypse, and we saved this country. Okay, we did it. We saved it, and I guarantee that, okay? We saved it for the next generation. The next fucking generation, which, you know, sometimes, though, some people ask me, like, Brennan, where the hell did you come from? Like, who are you? You're a strange creature of the mist. And I said, and usually I will respond to this with, I was an impulse decision made by two adults in 1988 in a tent, and they did not have a fucking plan, and neither do I, to be honest. So I'm still on borrowed time as far as I know. That said, I've realized that kind of thing has created a lot of strange mental health in this world. A lot of us are not exactly doing the best that we could. And so for me, I decided to go and talk to my doctor. I was like, I think I need some help, you know? And he's like, yes. So I started some new medications recently, and it has not been bad. I went to go talk to him, and he said, like, yo, you've got some issues. You've got some serious problems here. What I'm going to subscribe or prescribe to you is an antidepressant. And I said, oh, no, let's not do that. Doc, what's the major drawback for an antidepressant? He's like, well, you're going to lose your libido. And I went, you know, Doc, I think I'm going to be unhappy. I think I'm going to stay depressed. I think that's the trick. I think I want to do it. He's like, okay, hold your horses. What I'm also going to prescribe for you is Cialis. I went, oh, we're doing what now? And so, well, it's been 5 weeks now of the new medications. It's going pretty good. Haven't taken the antidepressants yet. I gotta say, for those out there that don't know, for the audience members that are not sure what Cialis is awesome. It's amazing. I'm pretty sure it's cured fucking cancer. It's cured depression for me. I think we should all be on it. I think it's the wonder drug we all need to be taking, and it's lovely. I couldn't be happier. Honestly, couldn't be happier in my life. I do gotta say though, you know, in any new relationship you get into, okay, you gotta look for those red flags, you know? And the problem for me is that I love the color red. You know, I'm just like, oh, she lit my bed on fire. Fuck, she's so passionate. She must love me. All right, well, I'm going to wrap up early here. But I got to say, and as a straight white male, and I think I speak for all the straight white males in this room when I say this, I've said enough. Good night, guys. Take care.